I cast Magic Missile.
Dude, you're playing a ranger.
Yep.
That's a wizard spell.
Oh. Says in this book, I can cast Druid or Wizard spells.
Wait a minute, what book you got there? Ted, that's first edition Dungeons & Dragons. We're playing 5e D&D.
Fine. We'll discuss essential 5e Ranger spells Tier 1 for D&D.
Welcome to Nerdarchy, for nerds by nerds. I'm Nerdarchy Dave, and as usual, I'm hanging out with this nerd.
Nerdarchy Ted.
Maybe it's your first time visiting Ted's basement. It's a place where we like to discuss news, views, and homebrews for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. Sometimes we even talk about other role-playing games.
So if you don't want to miss a single video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and to tune to that notification bell.
So we're going to do 5 essential spells for the 5th edition Ranger. And, unlike our 5 go-to spells, this is going to be a little bit different because they're a half-caster and their spells work a little bit different. It's still Tier 1, so we're going to go 1st through 4th level.
Which that only leaves 1st level spells. We got a easy selection on this one.
We absolutely do. I'm going to grab my handy-dandy device so I can pull up spells on D&D Beyond. And as usual, we're going to break it up into our usual categories. We have attack, buff, defense.
We got iconic. We got an overlooked spell.
And utility, of course.
Before we dive in, we're going to thank our sponsor, Wayward Masquerade and the Bag Thulu Dice Bag. We're doing a Gleam contest right now. We got 2 of these awesome dice bags to give away. It's got a cool Cthulhu head. You can open it up, and inside there is plenty of space for dice. It's going to come with 4 D6s with that cool Cthulhu head on your one side, just so when you roll that low number, you've got the cool image to look at.
Not only can you check out the Bag Thulu over there on Wayward Masquerade, but also Dragon Baggins and several other things as well. Many of them are handmade, and they come in a variety of colors and styles. Definitely you're going to want to check it out. We're halfway through the contest. Go down, enter the contest, go check out Wayward Masquerade. With that, let's jump into our 5 essential Ranger spells.
So first up, we have our attack spell, and there was a little bit of a debate here. I said Hail of Thorns is an awesome 1st level spell. Range itself, it's concentration for a minute. It's a dex save, bonus action to cast, only verbal, it's conjuration, and it does piercing damage. The next time you hit a creature with a ranged weapon attack before the spell ends, the spell creates a rain of thorns that sprouts from your ranged weapon or ammunition. In addition to the normal effect of the attack, the target of the attack and each creature within 5 feet of it must make a dex save. Creature takes die 10 piercing damage on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one. If you cast a spell using a higher level spell slot, it increases by 1d10 for each slot above first to a maximum of 6 die 10.
So that's a really great spell. It gives you an AoE to use. You can only use it with ranged weapons, but it gives some choices. It works very well for the Ranger. It's very thematic. But I also said Ensnaring Strike is also a really good option. Also level 1, casting time, bonus action, range, area self, verbal components, duration 1 minute, school is conjuration, and it is a strength save. Damage is piercing. Next time you hit a creature with a weapon attack before the spell ends, a writhing mass of thorny vines appears at the point of impact, and the target must succeed on a strength saving throw or be restrained by the magical vines until the spell ends. A large or a larger creature that has advantage on this saving throw, if the target succeeds on the save, the vines shrivel away. While restrained by the spell, the target takes die 6 piercing damage. At the start of each of its turn, a creature restrained by the vines or one that touches the creature can use an action to make a strength check against the spell save DC. On a success, the target is freed. Higher levels. If you cast a spell using a spell slot a 2nd level or higher, the damage increases by die 6 for each slot level above first.
It's about whether or not you want to attack strength or dex, whether you want to attack ranged or, have the option of doing either. Hail of Thorns does a die 10, where Ensnaring Strike only does a die 6. So there's definitely, uses for both. So we decided we'll put them both in there and let you guys decide. So next, we're going to move over to our next spell, and that's going to be buff. And for this one, we're looking at Zephyr Strike. All of these spells are first. There's no sense in saying it's first for all of them. Range itself, also concentration up to a minute. Casting time is a bonus action, also verbal, and this one is transmutation. You move like the wind. Until the spell ends, your movement doesn't provoke opportunity attacks. Right there and that is awesome to have. Once before the spell ends, you can give yourself advantage on one weapon attack on your turn. That attack deals an extra die 8 force damage on a hit. Whether you hit or miss, your walking speed increases by 30 feet until the end of turn. Holy crap, you're getting advantage on the attack, you're doing extra force damage, your movement isn't provoking opportunity attacks, and you've increased your walking speed. This is just awesome. Hands down for a first level spell, this is just great.
Now, also, one of the cool things to point out as well is all of these spells that we just mentioned are self so far. So if you're a Beastmaster Ranger at 15th level, when you cast it on yourself, they get the benefit as well. With that, we're going to go to our defense spell, and that is Absorb Elements. This is one of my favorites. I love it. It's a reaction to cast. It's range self still. It is a somatic component, duration 1 round, abjuration of the school, and the spell captures some of the incoming energy, lessening its effect on you and storing it for your next melee attack. You have resistance to the triggering damage type until the start of your next turn. Also, the first time you hit with a melee attack on your next turn, the target takes an extra d6 damage for the triggering type and the spell ends. At higher levels, when you cast this spell using a spell slot of 2nd level or higher, the extra damage increases by a die 6 for each slot level above 1st. I love this spell. I've used it many times. You can literally use this spell to absorb elements, take less damage, and then do more damage than the spell that originally caused damage, because if you made your saving throw, you have the resistance is going on, but not only that, the ability to pump up this spell and use a higher spell slot. You're a ranger, you don't have a lot of spell slots and higher level ones for that matter, so it's not as cool, but still, being able to take half damage and then half it again if you happen to make your saving throw at 15th level, you could use it on your beast as well, because, well, they're going to need some help because they don't have nearly as many hit points.
So great spell. I've seen that used, to wild success by this guy a lot. So yeah, great spell. So next we're going to move into our iconic, and there was a little bit of a debate on this one. Rangers, did we want to look at, more of the curing kind of stuff? But with 5th edition, we definitely had to go in the direction that that every ranger is taking, and that is going to be Hunter's Mark. So your range is 90 feet, concentration is an hour, casting time still a bonus action, components only verbal. Seeing a lot of that here. School is divination. You choose a creature you can see within range and mystically mark it as your quarry. Until the spell ends, you deal an extra die 6 damage to the target whenever you hit it with a weapon attack, and you have advantage on any wisdom perception or wisdom survival checks you make to find it. If the target drops to 0 hit points before the spell ends, you can use your bonus action on a subsequent turn of yours to mark a new creature. When you cast a spell using a spell slot of 3rd or 4th level, you can maintain your concentration for up to 8 hours. When you use a spell slot of 5th level or higher, you can maintain your concentration for up to 24 hours. So, there is a little bit of attack in there. There's a little bit of utility in there. It's a great spell. I don't need to sell you out there. I'm certain you're already aware of how awesome this is.
All good points. Next, we have our utility spell. This one we went back and forth on quite a few, but we settled on Goodberry. Action to cast, it ranges touch. Unlike all those other spells, the components are verbal, somatic, and material. Duration is instantaneous. It's transmutation. Up to 10 berries appear in your hand and are infused with magic for the duration. A creature can use its action to eat 1 berry. Eating a berry restores 1 hit point, and the berry provides enough nourishment to sustain a creature for 1 day. The berries lose their potencies if you have not been consumed within 24 hours of casting the spell. The reason why this is such a great utility spell, 1, it gets rid of the need to eat. You can feed the whole party for the full day with this 1 casting. 2, it offers healing. It's only a point, but if someone's down, that'll get them back up. 3, you can spread them out amongst the party. 4, they last a long time. This is not a concentration. It just happens. Boom, you have 10 berries. And I've seen plenty of rangers, when they're about to rest, they blow all their spell slots on Goodberry and just store a bunch of them because they're going to last for 24 hours.
So cool. All right, I've got four spell slots left. Boom, I got 40 Goodberries. That means 40 points of healing tomorrow before we rest. Holy crud, that's pretty useful. I like the fact that it's got a non-concentration for 24 hours. There isn't any of that while it provides nourishment, it doesn't actually fill you up. So it's not like you're, going to gain weight or explode from eating too many. I know there have been jokes over the many years of us playing together about some of that kind of stuff with earlier iterations of the rules. So it's a great spell, very useful.
And it's not broken in the sense that it takes an action to eat a berry. So it's not like you can just, boom, get 10 hit points back. And it is a cool spell, if you have a level of Life Cleric. There's a nice synergy and crossover there. But with that, I believe we have one more spell to go to.
All right, so we have our Overlooked. We always try to find something that, we're not seeing a whole lot of usage of, but is pretty cool. And when I looked through the first level spells, I had seen everything used but one. And when I started reading it, I really liked it. There was some other stuff that, there was some debate on, but we're looking at Snare for this one. Range is touch, duration is 8 hours, not concentration. It's a deck save. Casting time is a minute, so you're not using this in combat. This one is actually somatic and material. Material is actually going to get consumed. The Schoolage Obduration, and the effect is a restrain. As you cast the spell, you use the rope to create a circle with a 5-foot radius on the ground or the floor. When you finish the casting, the rope disappears and the circle becomes a magical trap. The trap is nearly invisible, requiring a successful intelligence investigation check against your spell save to be discerned. The trap triggers when a small, medium, or large creature moves onto the ground or the floor in the spell's radius. The creature must succeed on a dex save or be magically hoisted into the air, leaving it hanging upside down 3 feet above the ground or floor. The creature is restrained until the spell ends. A restrained creature can make a dex saving throw at the end of each of its turn, ending the effect on itself on a success. Alternatively, the creature or someone else who can reach it can use an action to make an intelligence arcana check against your spell save DC. On a success, the restrained effect ends. After the trap is triggered, the spell ends when no creature is restrained by it. And the material component is 25 feet of rope, so if you buy that typical 50-foot of rope, you can cast this twice, per usage. I think this has a lot of value, whether you're, being pursued and you want to set a trap with just, casting a spell, whether you are suspecting of an attack while you set your encampment. It lasts 8 hours, so it's pretty useful to be like, well, I'm going to put this out before I go to sleep. Instead of casting Goodberry, I'm going to cast this thing instead.
I'm going to cast Snare twice. Yeah, you can use it for setting up a battlefield, setting up an ambush. So it's going to have some uses in that way. Like you said, we haven't seen it used in our games. But let us know, are you seeing these spells used in your games? What are your favorite Ranger spells? We have a place where we can discuss it down in the comments. But before we go, let's take a moment to invite you to join Nerdarchy the Adventuring Party over on Patreon. What can I expect there, Ted?
We're creating products for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons that both players and DMs alike can drop right into their game.
But that's not all. We do monthly giveaways and our patrons are automatically entered.
We do weekly hangouts with our patrons and more.
So quest on down to the description, join Nerdarchy the Adventuring Party on Patreon, and until next time,
stay nerdy.